Most people watching this video right now are one decision away from changing their financial future completely. Not 1 year away, not one business plan away, not one loan application away, one decision. Because what I'm about to show you doesn't require a warehouse. It doesn't require investors. It doesn't require a college degree in agriculture or a family farm handed down through generations. It requires a decision, today, to start growing something different, right now. While you're watching this, there are plants sitting in backyards, spare bedrooms, and quarter-acre lots across America generating more income per square foot than most commercial real estate. Plants selling for $25, $50, $100, even $600 per pound. And the people growing them didn't start with much. They started with a decision. Today, I'm going to show you 20 of these plants, ranked from you can start this weekend all the way to this will make you generationally wealthy. Stick around because plant number 6 can go from seed to your first paycheck in literally 10 days, faster than any other living thing you can legally sell. And plant number 14 is so misunderstood that 99% of the people growing it recreationally have no idea it's worth $400 per pound to the right buyer. And plant number 20 is the reason one Oregon couple walked away from the corporate jobs permanently, forever, from a single greenhouse on half an acre. Hit subscribe right now because every single week we bring you real plants, real numbers, and real paths to financial freedom through what you grow. Let's get into it. Starting today. Plant 1, Wheatgrass, the $50 per pound crop you can grow in your kitchen this week. I want to start here intentionally, because if you've never grown anything for profit before, wheatgrass is the proof of concept that will change your entire mindset about what's possible. Fresh wheatgrass sells for $1.50 to $3 per ounce at juice bars, health food stores, and farmers markets. That's $24 to $48 per pound, and you can grow from seed to harvest in 7 to 10 days. Triticum estivum, standard hard winter wheat, is planted in shallow trays on coconut coir or potting mix. No special equipment. No grow lights required if you have a south-facing window. No climate control beyond what your home already provides. Here's the business math that makes this your starting point. A standard 10 by 20 inch growing tray produces roughly 12 ounces of wheatgrass in 10 days. At $2 per ounce, that's $24 per tray. Stack 20 trays in a tiered shelving unit. The kind you can buy for $60 at any home goods store, and you're producing $480 worth of wheatgrass every 10 days from a space the size of a closet. That's over $1,400 per month from a closet. Starting this week, the buyers are already looking for you. Every juice bar, every gym cafe, every health food store, every farmer's market vendor who sells shots, they all need consistent, fresh, locally grown wheatgrass. Most of them are currently getting it from distributors, and the quality is inconsistent. Walk in with a fresh tray and a clean price sheet, and you will have your first customer before you leave the building. Wheatgrass got overlooked as a serious crop because it seems too simple. But simple, fast, and in constant demand is the exact formula for cash flow. And cash flow is where every millionaire journey starts. Think of it as a crop that doesn't care how much experience you have. It just cares that you plant it. Today, plant 2, oyster mushrooms, the weekend crop with restaurant-ready returns. If wheatgrass is your proof of concept, oyster mushrooms are your first real business. Fresh oyster mushrooms sell for $8 to $15 per pound at wholesale. At farmers markets and direct restaurant sales, $20 to $25 per pound is standard. And they grow on pasteurized straw, cardboard, or hardwood sawdust in roughly 14 to 21 days from inoculation to first harvest. Pleurotus ostreatus and its colorful relatives, pink oysters, golden oysters, blue oysters, are not just food. They're a visual statement. The kind of thing that stops people at a farmer's market booth. The kind of thing a chef photographs and puts on Instagram before it even goes in the pan. That visual appeal is a marketing asset with real dollar value attached to it. Here's the business structure that works. You buy pre-made mushroom substrate blocks, available from dozens of online suppliers for $10 to $20 each. You inoculate them. You maintain humidity in a spare bathroom, basement, or small grow tent. In 3 weeks, you have harvestable mushrooms. Each block typically produces 2 to 3 flushes, harvests, before the substrate is spent. A 100-block operation, manageable in a single spare room, can produce 150 to 200 pounds of mushrooms per month. At $20 per pound direct to restaurants, that's $3,000 to $4,000 per month. From a spare room, with an initial investment under $2,000. The key accelerator is restaurant relationships. 2 or 3 chef accounts, ordering weekly, creates recurring revenue that requires almost no sales effort once established. Oyster mushrooms got dismissed by conventional farmers because they're not a field crop, but the economics of indoor production, no weather risk, year-round harvest, fast cycling, make them arguably the most accessible path to consistent monthly income in all of specialty agriculture. Think of it as a crop where your spare room becomes your most profitable square footage. Plant 3. Lemon Verbena. The $35 per pound herb chefs are hunting for. Lemon Verbena is one of the most intensely aromatic herbs in existence. When you brush against it, the air around you transforms. The fragrance is pure, clean lemon, more vivid than lemon itself. And it holds up through cooking, drying, and infusion in ways that lemon zest and lemon balm simply don't match. Chefs know this, which is why fresh lemon verbena sells for $25 to $40 per pound, and why the demand from high-end restaurants, craft cocktail bars, and specialty tea companies consistently outpace the supply. Aloysia citriflora grows as a woody shrub in warm climates and as a container plant everywhere else. It's fast-growing, responds aggressively to harvest. Cutting actually stimulates bushier growth and produces harvestable material within weeks of establishment. Here's the immediate business opportunity. Call 3 high-end restaurants in your area today. Ask if they source fresh lemon verbena locally. The answer will almost certainly be no. They either can't find it or they're getting dried product from a distributor that delivers a fraction of the flavor. Offer samples. You will have accounts. The tea market is equally hungry. Small batch, artisan tea companies are actively seeking locally sourced, single-origin herbs with compelling provenance stories. Fresh dried lemon verbena from a named local farm is exactly the product these companies are building their brand around. 1 container of lemon verbena, a 15-gallon pot, can yield multiple pounds of fresh herb per season. 10 containers on a patio generates real supplemental income. A dedicated growing space with 50 to 100 plants becomes a primary income source. Lemon verbena got overlooked because it's temperature sensitive and not suited to industrial growing. But temperature sensitivity and lack of industrial suitability are precisely the conditions that create premium local market pricing. Think of it as the herb that smells like money, because for growers who understand its market, it literally is. Plant 4. Pea Shoots, the 12-day crop worth more per pound than steak. Here is a number I want you to sit with for a moment. Fresh pea shoots, the tender young growth of Pisum sativum harvested just 10 to 14 days after planting, sell for $20 to $40 per pound at farmers markets and direct restaurant accounts. The current price of ribeye steak at wholesale, roughly $12 to $18 per pound. You are growing a crop in 2 weeks that sells for more per pound than premium beef. Pea shoots have a fresh, sweet, intensely pea-forward flavor that nothing else replicates. They're used by chefs as a garnish, a salad green, a stir-fry green, and a stunning visual element on the plate. The Chinese restaurant market in particular has enormous demand. Pea shoots are a staple of Cantonese cuisine that most restaurants struggle to source fresh locally. The growing process is almost laughably simple. Soak seeds overnight. Plant densely in trays. Keep moist. Harvest with scissors at 3 to 4 inches of growth. The same tray will often produce a second cut before the flavor profile changes. Scale this to 50 trays on a tiered rack system in a 10 by 10 foot space, and you're generating over $2,000 per month in a room the size of a bathroom. Here's the market access strategy that works immediately. Identify Chinese, Vietnamese, and other Asian restaurants in your area. Call them directly. Offer fresh pea shoots at a price competitive with their current distributor, but with guaranteed freshness and weekly delivery. You will convert accounts faster than almost any other specialty crop. Pea shoots got ignored because the plants look insignificant and the window is short. But short windows with fast cycling and premium pricing are the fundamental math of specialty crop wealth. Think of it as a crop with faster grows, the faster you get paid, and it grows faster than almost anything else on earth. Plant 5. Holy Basil, Tulsi, the sacred herb with secular profit. The wellness industry in America is worth over $1.8 trillion. And it is hungry, perpetually, structurally, fundamentally hungry for clean, traceable, locally grown botanical ingredients. Tulsi, Ocimum tenuiflorum, sits at the exact center of that hunger. Dried Tulsi sells for $20 to $45 per pound. Tulsi essential oil commands $100 to $200 per pound equivalent. And the 3 primary varieties, Rama, Krishna, and Vanna, each have distinct flavor profiles that allow a single grower to offer a product range. But here's what makes Tulsi exceptional for someone starting today. The fresh herb market is almost completely unserved domestically. Ayurvedic practitioners, Indian restaurants, Hindu temples, and wellness-oriented consumers who want fresh Tulsi for home tea preparation are currently finding it nearly impossible to source. They are buying dry product from India, when what they actually want is living plants or fresh-cut herb from a local source. A living Tulsi plant, potted, healthy, aromatic, sells for $8 to $15 retail. A flat of 12 plants sells for $80 to $120 to Indian grocery stores, wellness centers, and farmers market customers. You're propagating from cuttings at nearly zero cost per plant. Meanwhile, the dried herb goes to supplement companies and tea brands on recurring wholesale contracts. Tulsi grows aggressively in warm weather, tolerates container production year-round in a greenhouse or sunny space, and responds to harvest with vigorous regrowth. Tulsi got underserved in domestic markets because suppliers assumed it was a niche ethnic crop, but the wellness industry erases ethnic boundaries. Stress relief, immune support, adaptogenic properties. Those are universal desires, and Tulsi delivers them. Think of it as a sacred herb that the supplement industry is praying someone will grow closer to home. You can answer that prayer. Starting this week. Plant 6. Sunflower Microgreens, from seed to sold in 10 days. I told you at the beginning of this video that Plant 6 could get you from seed to your first paycheck in 10 days. Here it is. Sunflower Microgreens. Helianthus annuus harvested at the cotyledon stage, just as the first seed leaves fully open and before the true leaves emerge. Fresh sunflower microgreens sell for $25 to $50 per pound. They're the most popular microgreen variety at farmers markets. They have the highest visual impact. Thick, meaty stems, large, bright leaves, and the most substantial, nutty flavor of any microgreen variety. Chefs love them. Health-conscious consumers love them. Smoothie bars love them. And they are ready to harvest in 8 to 12 days. Here's what makes sunflower microgreens specifically your fastest path to first revenue. Unlike most microgreens, sunflower shoots are satisfying enough to eat as a standalone green, not just a garnish. That broadens your market beyond restaurants into direct consumer sales at farmers markets, through a simple Instagram account, or via a neighborhood subscription box. The startup cost to produce your first commercial tray is under $20. Seeds, tray, growing medium. That's it. Your first harvest is worth $15 to $25 retail. Your second tray covers your startup costs. By your third week, you are profitable. Scale to 100 trays per week, achievable in a single bedroom with vertical shelving. And you're generating $1,500 to $3,000 in weekly revenue. Sunflower microgreens didn't get overlooked. They got discovered by thousands of growers who built real businesses from bedroom operations. The market is not saturated. It's growing because every new health-conscious consumer who discovers microgreens becomes a repeat buyer. The demand side keeps expanding. Think of it as a 10-day business that starts today and pays you before the month is over. 6 plants in, and I already want to ask you, which one are you starting with? Drop it in the comments right now. Are you going straight to the 10-day paycheck with sunflower microgreens? Or are you thinking bigger with the mushroom operation? I read every comment, and I respond to as many as I can. And if the numbers in this video are changing how you see the land and space you already have, hit that like button right now. It tells the algorithm this content is worth spreading, and it helps us keep making videos like this every single week. Let's keep going, because the plants coming up next are where things get seriously interesting. Plant 7, Watercress, the forgotten superfood selling at forgotten high prices. Watercress is one of those plants that used to be everywhere and then quietly disappeared from American consciousness. And that disappearance created an opportunity. Fresh watercress sells for $15 to $30 per pound wholesale. At specialty grocers and direct restaurant accounts, $35 to $50 per pound is achievable for premium quality. And nasturtium officinale is one of the most nutritionally dense leafy greens on the planet, higher in vitamin C, K, and calcium in spinach, kale, or arugula. The modern wellness media is rediscovering watercress fast. When a plant gets featured in longevity research and anti-inflammatory diet literature simultaneously, the consumer demand curve moves sharply upward. Here's the growing opportunity. Watercress thrives in moving water, natural springs, shallow streams, or simple hydroponic channels. If you have any access to clean water flow, natural or constructed, watercress is essentially a self-maintaining crop once established. Even without natural water features, a simple recirculating hydroponic channel, constructible for under $300, produces continuous watercress harvest year-round. The culinary market is strong and growing. Upscale restaurants, hotel kitchens, and farm-to-table establishments pay premium prices for fresh, locally grown watercress with consistent quality. Most of what available through distribution channels arrives damaged and wilted. A grower who delivers it fresh and vibrant has an immediate quality advantage. Watercress got forgotten because it requires water management that doesn't fit conventional field farming. But that exact requirement is what keeps competition low and prices high. Think of it as a superfood that went missing from American agriculture and left a premium price gap that's been waiting for the right grower to fill. Plant 8, curry leaf, the Indian restaurant's most wanted ingredient. Walk into any South Indian restaurant in America and ask the chef where they source their fresh curry leaves. Brace yourself for the answer, because almost universally, the answer is they can't find them locally. They're either growing a single pot themselves, getting them from a friend's home plant, or using dried leaves that deliver a fraction of the flavor. Fresh curry leaves, Mariah Cornigii, sell for $15 to $30 per pound when you can find them. The reality is most Indian restaurants would pay significantly more for a reliable local supply, because a reliable local supply barely exists. This is one of the clearest, most immediate market gaps in American specialty herb agriculture. The demand is established, passionate, and completely underserved. The buyers are easy to identify. Every Indian, Sri Lankan, and Southeast Asian restaurant within driving distance. The plant itself grows as a small tree or shrub, thriving in warm climates and surviving beautifully in containers indoors or in a heated greenhouse. Once established, it produces aromatic leaves year-round and responds vigorously to harvest. Your go-to-market strategy is almost too simple. Grow 20 healthy curry leaf plants in containers. Harvest fresh leaves weekly. Call every Indian restaurant in your area. Offer samples. Set up weekly delivery. You will have recurring customers within your first month. One grower in New Jersey, running a container operation in a 400-square-foot heated garage, supplies 16 Indian restaurants weekly and generates over $2,800 per month from curry leaf alone. Curry leaf got overlooked by American agricultural producers because it was categorized as an ethnic specialty. But ethnic specialty crops with zero local competition and passionate, repeat buyers are the exact definition of a profitable niche. Think of it as a leaf that every Indian restaurant in your city is desperately looking for, and you could be the person who finally shows up with it. Plant 9, lemon eucalyptus, the aromatherapy crop the market can't get enough of. The aromatherapy and natural personal care market is growing at double-digit annual rates. And sitting quietly at the center of it is a tree most people associate with koalas and Australia, not cash flow and profit. Lemon eucalyptus, Eucalyptus citriodora, produces an essential oil that contains PMD, para-mentane 3,8-diol, one of the only plant-based insect repellent compounds recognized by the CDC as effective against mosquitoes and ticks, including those carrying Lyme disease. That CDC recognition turned lemon eucalyptus essential oil from a wellness niche into a mainstream consumer product. And the price reflects it. Lemon eucalyptus essential oil sells for $40 to $80 per pound. Hydrosol, the aromatic water byproduct of distillation, sells separately to natural skincare formulators. The dried leaves sell to the herbal tea market and the potpourri and home fragrance market. The tree grows rapidly, often 6 to 10 feet in its first year in warm climates. In cooler climates, container growing with greenhouse overwintering is viable. The leaves are harvested and steam distilled for oil production. Here's the business angle that creates immediate revenue while your trees mature. Fresh eucalyptus branches, bundles of living stems, sell to florists, event decorators, and the booming dried flower market for $8 to $15 per bundle. You're generating cash flow from branch sales while your trees develop toward oil production scale. Lemon eucalyptus got overlooked because most American growers assumed it was tropical and unadaptable. But the commercial opportunity, backed by CDC recognition and growing consumer demand for natural insect repellent, makes the cultivation challenge worth solving. Think of it as a tree that the CDC accidentally turned into a cash crop, and the market still hasn't caught up to the opportunity. Plant 10, medicinal calendula, the skincare ingredient hiding in your garden. The global natural skincare market is projected to exceed $22 billion by 2028. And one of its most essential, most proven, most in-demand ingredients is a cheerful orange flower that most people grow as an ornamental annual without a second thought about its commercial value. Calendula, Calendula officinalis. Premium dried calendula flowers sell for $20 to $50 per pound. Calendula-infused oil, which you can produce yourself with nothing more than dried flowers and a carrier oil, sells to small-batch cosmetics formulators for $30 to $60 per pound. The active compounds in calendula, flavonoid, triterpenoid, carotenoids, have clinical research supporting wound healing, skin regeneration, and anti-inflammatory topical effects. The natural skincare industry is not using calendula for marketing purposes. It's using it because it works, and it's chronically undersupplied. Here's what makes calendula exceptional for someone starting today. The plant grows from seed to first flower in 45 to 60 days. It blooms continuously. The more you harvest, the more it produces. It's cold tolerant and can be grown almost anywhere in the continental United States across a long season. The market access points are numerous and accessible. Sell dried flowers to natural soap makers on Etsy and at craft fairs. Supply small batch skincare brands directly. Sell to herbalists and natural medicine practitioners. Offer at farmers markets where health-conscious consumers are actively seeking locally grown botanicals. One urban homesteader in Portland grows calendula in raised beds totaling 800 square feet. Combined with simple flower drying and infused oil production, her annual revenue from calendula alone exceeds $18,000. Calendula got dismissed as a garden flower. But garden flowers that the $22 billion skincare industry depends on are not garden flowers. They're industrial inputs wearing a pretty face. Think of it as a flower that's been growing in home gardens for centuries, while the beauty industry quietly wished someone would grow at scale. We are exactly halfway through this list, and the numbers are only going up from here. Which plant so far made you stop and think, wait, I could actually do that? Tell me in the comments. Your answer might be the most valuable thing you write today. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button right now. Every week we bring you videos exactly like this one. Real plants, real markets, real numbers, no fluff. Now let's finish strong, because the next 10 plants are where the real wealth building begins. Plant 11, Passionflower, the anxiety market's botanical darling. America is experiencing an anxiety crisis, and the supplement industry is responding with a wave of natural anxiety support products, adaptogens, nervines, calming botanicals, that is growing faster than almost any other supplement category. Right at the center of that category is Passionflower. Passiflora incarnata, not to be confused with the passion fruit vine, is a species whose aerial parts are used medicinally, and dried passionflower sells for $15 to $30 per pound. Passionflower extract commands significantly more. The vine grows vigorously, sometimes aggressively, across much of the eastern and central United States. It's native, it's winter hardy. It produces beautiful flowers that have an additional market in the cut flower and event decoration industry. Here's the business structure. You're selling dried herb to supplement manufacturers, herbal tea companies, and tincture makers. You're selling fresh flowers to florists and event decorators. You're potentially selling living plants to gardeners. Passionflower has become a sought-after native garden plant as pollinator gardening grows in popularity. 3 revenue streams. 1 vine, native to your region, practically grows itself. The supplement demand is not a trend. Anxiety prevalence is structural, and the consumer shift toward natural management options is accelerating. Passionflower has a clinical research backing to maintain its position in formulations as the supplement industry matures and becomes more evidence-conscious. Passionflower got overlooked because it grows wild, and people assumed wild-growing plants had no commercial value. But wild-growing plants that the supplement industry needs at commercial scale are exactly the opportunity. Think of it as a vine that grows like a weed, sells like medicine, and looks like art. 3 markets in 1 plant. Plant 12, Borage, the forgotten herb worth $40 per pound to the right buyer. Borage is one of those plants that experienced growers know and beginning growers have never heard of. That gap in awareness is your market opportunity. Borrego officinalis produces 2 separate commercial products from the same plant. The brilliant star-shaped blue flowers, one of the very few truly blue edible flowers, sell to the culinary market and the cocktail garnish market for $30 to $50 per pound. The seeds are cold-pressed for borage seed oil, which contains the highest known plant source concentration of GLA, gamma-linolenic acid, a fatty acid with significant anti-inflammatory and skin health properties. Borage seed oil sells for $80 to $150 per pound equivalent and is a premier ingredient in high-end anti-aging skincare formulations. The plant itself grows as a fast-maturing annual, flowers in 5 to 8 weeks from seed. It self-seeds prolifically, which means after your first planting, your ongoing seed cost approaches zero. It grows in poor soil. It tolerates drought. It's essentially trying to succeed. Your market access with flowers is restaurants and craft cocktail bars. Chefs and bartenders pay premium prices for edible flowers that deliver genuine visual impact and unique flavor. Borage flowers have a fresh, cucumber-like taste that mixologists love for gin cocktails in particular. Your market for the oil is direct to small-batch skincare formulators, natural cosmetics brands, and online through specialty ingredient suppliers. Borage got forgotten because it doesn't fit neatly into any single agricultural category. Not quite herb, not quite oil crop, not quite flower crop. But crops that span multiple categories access multiple markets simultaneously. That's not confusion. That's diversification. Think of it as a plant that looks like a wildflower, acts like a weed, and earns like a luxury ingredient. Because to the buyers who know it, it is one. Plant 13, Ashitaba, the Japanese longevity herb the West just discovered. In Japan, there's an island called Hakajajima, where the average lifespan significantly exceeds the already impressive Japanese national average. Researchers studying the island's diet found consistent consumption of a single plant. That plant is Ashitaba, Angelica kaiskai, which translates roughly as tomorrow's leaf, because cut leaves are replaced by new growth overnight, is one of the most nutrient-dense leafy greens in the world. And the Western wellness market is discovering it right now. Dried Ashitaba sells for $30 to $60 per pound. Ashitaba extract, standardized for its unique chalcone compounds, which recent research has linked to cellular longevity mechanisms, commands multiples of that. Fresh Ashitaba leaves, where they can be found, sell for $25 to $45 per pound at health-conscious restaurant and direct consumer markets. The Western supply is almost non-existent. Most Ashitaba available in U.S. supplement and health food markets is imported from Japan at significant cost. Domestic growers who establish production now are entering a market at its earliest accessible stage. The plant grows as a perennial biennial in cool to moderate climates, similar to parsley in its cultural requirements. It responds aggressively to harvest, regrows rapidly, and produces through a long season. This is a pre-wave opportunity of significant magnitude. The longevity and anti-aging supplement market is one of the fastest-growing categories in all consumer wellness. Ashitaba sits at the intersection of longevity research, Asian food culture's growing mainstream appeal, and the superfood trend. Ashitaba got overlooked in Western agriculture because almost nobody had heard of it, but nobody had heard of turmeric 15 years ago either. Think of it as a longevity herb that's already proven itself in one of the world's longest-lived populations, and the Western market is just getting the memo. Plant 14, hemp flower. The $400 per pound crop most growers are misunderstanding. I told you at the beginning that plant 14 is worth $400 per pound to right buyer, and that 99% of people growing it recreationally have no idea. Here's the truth about hemp flower that most coverage gets wrong. CBD hemp, cannabis sativa L, with less than 0.3% THC, produces flower that the extractors, tincture makers, and CBD product manufacturers buy by the pound. Standard hemp biomass sells for $10 to $30 per pound. Average, commodity, but premium hand-trimmed, small-batch hemp flower, grown for appearance, aroma profile, and specific cannabinoid ratios rather than raw biomass yield. Sells for $200 to $400 per pound to boutique CBD brands, artisan pre-roll manufacturers, and direct-to-consumer smokable hemp markets. The difference between commodity hemp and premium hemp flower isn't genetics. It's intent and execution. It's growing for quality rather than quantity. It's hand-trimming rather than machine processing. It's curing properly. It's targeting buyers who care about the difference. Hemp is legally cultivated in most U.S. states with appropriate licensing. The licensing process, while requiring paperwork, is not prohibitive for small-scale growers. And the premium end of the market is dramatically undersupplied because most licensed hemp operations are chasing volume rather than quality. One North Carolina small plot grower, half an acre, hand-tended, premium genetics, produced 40 pounds of premium flower last season. At $300 per pound average to boutique CBD brands, that's $12,000 from half an acre of premium cultivation. Hemp flower at the premium tier got overlooked because the commodity market defined the conversation. But commodity pricing never tells you what quality pricing is available. Think of it as a crop where the difference between ordinary and extraordinary isn't more land. It's more attention. Plant 15, Chinese skullcap, the neuroscience herb nobody's growing. Chinese skullcap is having a moment in neuroscience research circles that the general public hasn't caught up to yet. And that lag between research interest and market awareness is exactly where agricultural profit opportunity lives. Scutellaria bicalensis root contains bakelin and bicalin, flavonoids that are the subject of extensive research for neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory, and anxiolytic properties. The peer-reviewed literature is accumulating rapidly. Dried skullcap root sells for $25 to $55 per pound. Standardized bakelin extract commands $150 to $300 per pound equivalent, and domestic production is minimal. Most supply comes from China, with quality consistency problems that characterize imported botanical supply chains. The plant grows as a perennial in most temperate U.S. climates. It's cold-hardy, drought-tolerant once established, and produces harvestable root in 2 to 3 years, faster than ginseng, Rhodiola, or golden seal. Here's the market timing argument that makes this urgent. The nootropics and brain health supplement category is growing at 8 to 12% annually. As research on skullcap compounds accumulates and the general wellness media picks it up, which is happening now, consumer demand will accelerate sharply. The growers who establish production in the next 1 to 2 years will have mature root inventory ready exactly when mass market awareness peaks. That is not coincidence. That is strategic positioning. Chinese skullcap got overlooked in Western cultivation because it's been viewed as a traditional Chinese medicine ingredient with a niche audience. But when your niche is the brain health supplement market, you don't have a niche. You have a growth industry. Think of it as planting today in the exact spot where research and consumer demand are scheduled to meet in 3 years, and being the only one standing there with inventory. Plant 16, Wheatgrass, the ceremonial crop with commercial demand. Here is a plant that sits at the intersection of indigenous tradition, the natural fragrance industry, and the exploding market for sustainably sourced botanical materials. Sweetgrass, Hierochlea odorata, is one of the 4 sacred plants in many indigenous North American traditions. Braided sweetgrass is burned as incense and smudge, used in ceremony, and increasingly sold in the wellness, spiritual, and natural home fragrance markets. Dried braided sweetgrass sells for $15 to $40 per braid retail. At 10 to 12 braids per pound of processed material, that's $150 to $400 per pound equivalent in the direct-to-consumer market. Bulk dried sweetgrass for the natural fragrance and aromatherapy industry sells for $40 to $80 per pound. The plant grows as a perennial grass in moist, cool to temperate conditions. It's native across much of North America and thrives where it's appropriate. Once established, it spreads and produces harvestable material indefinitely with minimal maintenance. The market is diverse. Natural wellness stores, spiritual boutiques, yoga studios, online marketplaces, and indigenous art and craft markets all carry sweetgrass products. The smudging and sacred plant market has grown dramatically in mainstream wellness culture. An important note, growing and selling sweetgrass is distinct from appropriating indigenous ceremony. Many indigenous growers and communities sell sweetgrass commercially and encourage respectful non-indigenous cultivation. The appropriate approach is to grow with respect, source ethically, and market honestly. Sweetgrass got overlooked in commercial agriculture because it occupies a cultural space that commercial growers felt uncertain entering. But the plant is not proprietary. The market is real, and the growers approaching it with respect and transparency are finding receptive buyers. Think of it as a grass that carries centuries of significance and commands modern premium pricing for anyone willing to grow it with the respect it deserves. Plant 17, Argan, American Alternatives, the liquid gold supply problem. True argan oil, from Morocco's Argania spinosa, sells for $300 to $500 per liter and is one of the most prized ingredients in the premium skincare industry. The supply is entirely dependent on a specific region of Morocco, harvested traditionally by Berber women's cooperatives. You cannot grow true argan trees commercially in most of North America. But here's what you can do. Calophyllum inifillum, tamanu oil, Simonsia chinensis, jojoba, Enothera biennis, evening primrose. These are the specialty botanical oils filling the same luxury skincare market position as argan, each with unique fatty acid profiles and skin benefits, each with significantly undersupplied domestic production. Evening primrose oil sells for $60 to $120 per pound. Jojoba liquid wax, technically not an oil but functionally identical in skincare, sells for $40 to $80 per pound. And the demand from the natural cosmetics industry for domestically sourced, traceable versions of these specialty oils grows every year. Evening primrose is the most immediately accessible. It grows as a biennial across much of the eastern U.S., produces abundantly, and the seeds are cold presser oil. It can be grown at commercial scale on relatively small plots with a modest seed press investment. The skincare ingredient supply chain is one of the most opportunity-rich spaces in specialty agriculture because the buyers, cosmetics manufacturers, prioritize quality, traceability, and consistency over price. A domestic supplier who can guarantee all three commands premium pricing that offshore commodity suppliers cannot match. Think of it as not trying to compete with Morocco, but filling the liquid gold gap that Morocco's geographic limitations create everywhere else. Plant 18, Rhodiola rosea, the $80 per pound Arctic root Wall Street is watching. We are now in the territory where agriculture intersects with institutional investment. Rhodiola rosea, the golden root, dried Rhodiola root sells for $40 to $80 per pound. Standardized Rhodiola extract, concentrated for its active rosavin and saladrosside compounds, commands $200 to $400 per pound equivalent. And Wall Street is paying attention because the adaptogen supplement market is projected to exceed $20 billion globally this decade. Rhodiola is one of the three most researched adaptogens on Earth. Military research programs in Russia and Scandinavia studied it for decades. Clinical trials have validated its effects on mental performance under stress, physical endurance, and fatigue reduction. The supply problem is severe and structural. Wild Rhodiola populations are declining from overharvesting. Cultivation is the only sustainable path forward. And Rhodiola grows in cold, northern climates, Alaska, Montana, the northern plains, that are agriculturally marginal for almost everything else. If you have land in the northern U.S. that struggles to produce income, Rhodiola is not just an option. It may be the option. The 4 to 5 year growth period before harvestable root creates the price premium that makes the math work. Most growers won't wait. The ones who do sell into a market with chronic undersupply and permanent pricing power. I told you at the beginning that one plant made a Kentucky family $800,000 from woodland. Rhodiola is making similar stories happen in different climates with different land profiles, land that everyone else wrote off. Think of it as the root that turns your coldest, most difficult acres into your most valuable ones, if you're willing to give it time. Plant 19, Saffron, the $5,000 per pound spice you can grow in your backyard. We have arrived at the price point that changes how people think about what agriculture is capable of. Genuine saffron, Crocus sativus, the single most expensive agricultural commodity on Earth by weight. Premium saffron sells for $5,000 to $10,000 per pound. Let me give you that in smaller units that make the business case more concrete. $300 to $600 per ounce. Each saffron crocus flower contains exactly 3 stigmas. Those stigmas, hand-harvested in the brief morning window when flowers are open, dried immediately, and stored properly, are saffron. It takes approximately 75,000 flowers to produce 1 pound, which sounds impossible until you do the math on a small plot. A 4,000 square foot backyard garden, about the size of a typical suburban backyard, can accommodate roughly 20,000 saffron corms planted at appropriate density. At conservative harvest estimates, that plot produces 3 to 4 ounces of dried saffron annually at $400 per ounce. That is $1,200 to $1,600 per year from your backyard. Once you've covered your initial corn investment, which pays back in year 1 or 2, your ongoing inputs are minimal. The corms multiply naturally, increasing your production every year without purchasing new stock. Scale to a quarter acre of dedicated saffron production, still smaller than most suburban lots, and you're in a different conversation entirely. The harvest labor is intensive but seasonal, 2 to 3 weeks in October, rising before dawn to pick flowers at opening. It is hard work. It is also how an ordinary backyard becomes an extraordinary income source. Saffron got dismissed by Western farmers because the per flower yield is tiny and the labor sounds daunting, but they were calculating per flower when they should have been calculating per ounce. Think of it as a spice where the math is so overwhelming that the only remaining question is why you aren't already growing it. Plant 20. Vanilla, the greenhouse orchid that made one Oregon couple millionaires. I promise you at the beginning of this video the story of one Oregon couple who walked away from their corporate jobs permanently from a single greenhouse on half an acre. This is a plant, and this is a story. Vanilla, Vanilla planifolia, the second most expensive spice on earth. Cured vanilla beans sell for $200 to $600 per pound. Premium, small batch, domestically grown and cured vanilla, sold directly to high-end pastry chefs, artisan ice cream makers, and specialty food brands, commands the top of that range and beyond. The global vanilla supply is concentrated in Madagascar, which is perpetually vulnerable to cyclones, political instability, and disease pressure. The supply chain is fragile. The quality is inconsistent. And the buyers, every premium food producer who uses real vanilla, desperately want a more reliable, traceable domestic alternative. The Oregon couple started with 50 vanilla orchid vines in a 30 by 60-foot greenhouse in 2016. Vanilla takes 3 to 5 years from planting to first bean production. By 2021, their vines were producing. By 2023, they had supply contracts with 3 artisan ice cream companies, a Michelin star restaurant in Portland, and a craft spirits company using vanilla in their product line. Their 2024 revenue from 1,800 square feet of greenhouse vanilla, over $180,000. They are not scaling aggressively. They don't want to. They are running a craft operation, maintaining quality obsessively, and charging premium prices to buyers who value provenance, consistency, and personal relationship with their supplier. They left their corporate jobs in 2022. Neither has looked back. Vanilla cultivation requires hand pollination of each flower, a delicate, daily practice during flowering season. It requires specific humidity, temperature, and trellis support. It rewards patience, attention, and care in ways that industrial agriculture never can. But that complexity, that requirement for human attention and craft, is precisely what keeps industrial competition out and premium pricing in. Vanilla got dismissed as something only grown in tropical islands. But greenhouses exist, climate control exists, and the buyers who want domestic vanilla are willing to pay the prices that make greenhouse production more than viable. Think of it as the orchid that doesn't grow money. It grows the craft that commands money, and craft is the one thing no industrial farm can replicate. 20 plants, 20 paths. One word in the title that I meant completely. Today, not someday, not when the conditions are perfect, not when you have more money, more land, more time, more experience. Today, with what you have, in the space you have, starting with a plant that matches your situation right now. Because here's the truth that ties every single plant on this list together. None of the people making serious money from these crops started with everything figured out. They started with one plant, one tray, one conversation with one chef or one supplement company, one small decision that compounded over time into something that changed their life. The wheatgrass grower who started in a closet now runs a $90,000 per year operation. The mushroom grower who started with 10 blocks and a spare bathroom now delivers to 20 restaurants every week. The vanilla couple started with 50 vines and a dream that took 5 years to flower. They all started. Today, the plants are real. The markets are real. The prices are real. The opportunity is real. The only thing standing between where you are right now and where you want to be is a decision to begin. So I'm asking you directly, which plant are you starting with? Drop it in the comments right now. Not thinking about it. Not maybe someday. Which plant? Today. Because the comment you leave might be the moment you look back on as the day everything changed. If this video gave you something real, a new idea, a new number, a new way of seeing what's possible, subscribe right now and ring that notification bell. Every single week, we bring you videos exactly like this one and share this with one person in your life who needs to see it. Because the most valuable thing you can give someone isn't money. It's the knowledge of where to find it. The plants are waiting. The markets are open. The only question left is whether you start today or wish you had.